Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we're going to start doing Chemistry Regent August 2016 Part A. I'm going to start from question number 1 to question number 30, that's Part A. So question number 1 say, which change occurs when an atom in an excited state returns to ground state? The answer is going to be energy is emitted. To understand what's going on, what you have to focus on that the first thing it's in excited states. What does it mean? It has more energy. Now when it's going to ground state, so energy is going to be emitted. What does it mean? It has to lose this energy and it's going to be like emission. So in that case, the answer is going to be energy emitted. Question number 2. The valence electrons in an atom of phosphorus in the ground state are all found in. So in that case, we have to go to the reference sheet. And this is the periodic table. Now we're talking about the phosphorus one. Here is the phosphorus. So in phosphorus, we're going to see in ground state, it has 285, means it has 3 shells. And in that case, the outer shell is a valence shell, which is 5. And in that case means it's in third shell. Question number 3. Which two elements have the most similar chemical properties? So according to the chemical properties, they should have the same valence electrons, because we understand before that the chemistry reactions go through the electrons, and since they have the same electrons, they are going to have the similar properties, and that's going to happen if you have only the same group. Means I'm going to check which of these two elements are in the same group. So going again backward to the reference sheet, I'm checking for beryllium and magnesium. Is magnesium and beryllium, they are in the same group. So if you're looking over there, the valence shell has 2 electrons, means they have chemical properties, the same chemical properties. And in that case, I'm picking up beryllium and magnesium. Now, which phrase describe a compound that consists of 2 elements? So the first thing I have to understand that a compound is a substance. It's not a mixture, because before we understand mixture means I can separate the 2 elements. But in a compound, I cannot separate the 2 elements. So in that case, that compound isn't mixture at all. So I'm crossing out 1 and 2. The second thing I understand, it's a mixture. It's a mixture. It's not a mixture, as I said before. So it's a substance. And in that case, I am between 3 and 4. So in a compound, we understand that the elements combine together with a certain ratio. Like when I said sodium chloride in ACl, so the ratio is 1:1. That's a compound. When I talk about carbon dioxide, CO2. So in that case, carbon to oxygen is 1:2. So we have a fixed ratio. And in that case, I'm going to pick up 4. Question number 5. The formula mass of a compound is. The formula mass, in another way, we're saying is the molecular weight. And as we said before, what I have to do, it's the sum of all the masses of the elements. And what represents the mass for an element is its atomic mass. So I added all the atomic masses, and in that case the answer should be number 1, the sum of atomic masses. That's exactly what we're doing when, like for example, when we talk about methane CH4, so it has 1 carbon and the carbon is 12, hydrogen is 4 times 1, which is the atomic mass, so 12 plus 4 is 16. So what we're doing now, we find the sum of the atomic masses of its atoms. Question number 6. The arrangement of element from the left to the right in a periodic form. So he's asking about a period. The period, as we know, this is the row. So starting from the left to the right, he's telling you that based on what? Atomic mass. The atomic mass, as I know, is the number on the top. So if you see 39, 40, 44, 47, 50, 51, 54, 58, 58 again, and if you're looking for cobalt and nickel, nickel is less than cobalt, means it doesn't go through the atomic mass, but it's going for atomic number, because we understand that if you're going in the group, you're going to see that increased by one proton, and this proton is the atomic number, so the answer must be number 2. Question number 7. Which diatomic molecule is formed when two atoms share 6 electrons? This is understanding question. So you have to understand, if they are sharing 6 electrons, means each is going to give 3 electrons, means in that case, according to the octet rule, means the valence shell has only 5 electrons. So I'm going to switch the question to which of these elements has 5 in its valence shell. So I'm going over there, the hydrogen has only 1. If you're looking for oxygen, the right side has 6, so it can share only 2, and nitrogen has 7, so 2, 5. The valence shell has 5, so it needs 3. So in that case, nitrogen, the diatomic molecules can share 3 each, and in that case, it's going to be sharing with 6 electrons. So the answer must be 2. Now, which formula represent a polar compound? Which formula represent a polar compound? So as we understand, the polar molecule means the difference in electronegativity should be more than 1.7 or 1.8. But I'm checking the difference in electronegativity. So for sure, I'm crossing out oxygen because this is the same molecule, so I don't have any difference in electronegativity. I'm checking carbon, oxygen, so I'm going for page 10 here, carbon and oxygen. As you see, carbon, oxygen. Okay, so the electronegativity 2.6 and 3.4. So if I subtract 0.8, means the electronegativity is less than 1.7, means it's not polar. If you're looking for nitrogen and hydrogen, 2.2 and 3, it's 1.8. So that's the one has the greatest electronegativity, means this is a more polar one. 8 is going to be answer 3. Question number 9. Which element is least like to undergo a chemical reaction? In another way, he asking you about a noble gas. Why? Because if it will not participate in any chemical reaction, means its outer shell has 8 electrons. So I'm in in the class of noble gas. So lithium, as we know, is alkaline, react, fluorine, halogen, react, carbon is non-metal, react. So the neon is the only one that is noble gas, has 8 electrons in the outer shell, so will not participate in your reaction. Question number 10. Which element has a melting point higher than the melting point of rhenium? So I'm not doing anything. I'm going to check those elements in the reference sheet, melting points. So look here the melting points. So I'm checking this part. So rhenium RH Rhenium. Where is rhenium? I'm looking for the rhenium symbol now. Rhenium, Re. Melting point is the third column. Rhenium. 3450. So which of these, the next element has more than this amount? So here, let's go rhenium. Tungsten, if you look, tungsten, it's up. The rhenium has 3695. So it's tungsten. How did I know that? I went again for the reference sheet. I'm not doing anything. I have to understand. So I'm checking where is the rhenium. Here is the rhenium, Re. And we were lucky that tungsten is on the top, so we found it easily. Okay, which property can be defined as ability of a substance to be hammered into thin sheet? This is the malleability. The malleability. So to change the shape, that's the malleability. So the answer in that case is malleability. Question number 12. Which list of elements consists of a metal, a metalloid, and a noble gas? Aluminum is a metal, sulfur is non-metal, argon is a noble gas. So here, aluminum is a metal, but sulfur isn't a metalloid. So I'm going to the second group. Magnesium is a metal, sodium is a metal, sulfur, no. So sulfur also doesn't work. Now, sodium is a metal, silicon is a metalloid, argon is a noble gas. So the answer is 3 if you're looking there. So I'm going back to the reference sheet and I'm going to here. Okay, so the metalloid are the chair. This is chair. So I'm going looking for is a boron, silicon, gallium, arsenic. So I'm looking for that chair. So since silicon is a metalloid, that's why I picked up group 3. Question number 13. Which sample of matter has a crystal structure? Which one has a crystal structure? So crystal structure is characterized for solid. So if you're looking over there, that's mercury liquid, water liquid, methane gas. So sodium chloride is the only solid that's because of symbol S, and it means it has a crystal shape. Question number 14. 1 mole of liquid water and 1 mole of solid water have different masses. It's the same amount, so 1 mole, it's going to be the same molecular weight. They have different properties. Yes, one of them physically is liquid, the other one is physically solid. So that means they have different properties, but they have the same Practical formula, the same gram masses formula, and the mass. Which substance cannot be broken down by a chemical change? So what we can't break down to by chemical change is the elements. So in another way, he asking you which one of those is elements. So butanol, as we know, that's aldehyde, organic. So that's a compound. I can break it down. Propene, that's alkene. So I can break it down because it's compound. Water is a compound, but the only thing that is element is a gold. So I can't break down the gold by chemical reaction. Question number 16. Which statement describes particles of an ideal gas based on kinetic molecular theory? So we have some characters for the ideal gas. So upon collision, there is no loss for energy, there is no attraction so force between atoms or particles. The third one, I don't, I can neglect the volume for the particle. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm talking about kinetic molecular theorem. So gas particles are separated by distance smaller than the size of the gas particles. That's absolutely incorrect because in that case the particle has a size. Gas particles don't transfer energy to each other, so means they are going to lose energy, and that's incorrect. And gas particles has no attraction force between them. That's correct because it's one of the secrets that we just tell you. Which expression could represent concentration of a solution? So the answer when I talk about concentration means I have mass per volume or volume per volume, so I have a unit. Okay, so when I'm talking about gram, that's a mass, milliliter, that's a volume, mole, that's the number of particles, but 3.5 molar, as we know, molarity means the number of moles per unit volume. So that's the only thing I can represent concentration according to the formula. And if you're looking back for your reference sheet, you're going to find that the molarity. So I'm going to counter rotate clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise again. So if you're looking here, here is the molarity moles per liter of solution, so that's concentration. So I'm not doing anything. Question number 18. Which form of energy is associated with random motion of a particle in a sample of water? So we're talking about type of energy. Okay. So chemical energy, I don't have any reaction. So what does it mean? I don't have a chemical energy. Nuclear energy, I don't split atoms or something like that, so it's not associated. Electrical energy, I don't have any source or polar solution to create electricity. So the only one is the thermal energy. And you said thermal energy is responsible for the motion of the particles because it's giving the particles kinetic energy. So in that case, the answer is going to be thermal energy. Which change is most likely to occur when a molecule of hydrogen and a molecule of iodine collide with proper orientation and sufficient energy? So in that case, they are going to act together. Since they are going to collide, means upon collide, I'm going to have a transfer of energy. So breaking down bonds and forming new bonds, and in that case, it's going to be chemically changed because I'm going to have a new compound, which is Hi or hydrogen iodide. Question number 20. Which change can reach dynamic equilibrium? Nuclear change only? No. Chemical change only? No. Nuclear and physical change? No. Chemical and physical change. So the answer in that case is going to be chemical and physical change. And that's going to make us remember what's affecting the equilibrium. If you remember, when I add or remove, that's going to shift the equilibrium. So that's one of the factors affecting the equilibrium. In the same time, like you're removing a product is going to remove the equilibrium. But in nuclear change, you're going to have loss of mass, like energy, and chemical change according to the chemical, because chemical change affecting nuclear, as I told you before, physical. Like if you remember the example about melting ice, when the ice melted. Question number 21. What occurs when a reaction reaches equilibrium? So when a reaction reaches equilibrium, so the forward rate equal to the backward rate. It doesn't mean that they have the same amount on the right or the left, but the rate is the same. So that's what I'm looking for. So the concentration of reaction increase, it's equilibrium. So how it's increase? Concentration of product increase. How it's increase again? I said equilibrium means no change. So the rate of the forward reaction is equal to the rate. That's the one we're looking for because the rate is going to be the same. That's why we said it's equilibrium. So the rate of uh, forming reactant equal to the rate of forming products. In terms of potential energy, PE, which expression defines the heat of the reaction? We said energy of the product minus energy of the reactant. Because when I break down, the bonds, I need energy. And when I form bonds, I release energy. And that's one of the laws we got before, and it's not included in your front sheet. System in nature tend to undergo changes that result in. So in that case, we're talking about enthalpy and randomness. So if it's giving you randomness, which is entropy, so higher entropy is favorable and low energy is favorable. So number two is the one that's having both of them because lower energy is favorable because I don't need energy, but lower entropy means I need more forces to keep the molecules next to each other. That's why it's not favorable. But when we're going for lower energy and higher energy, that's the one is the favorable. As we said, if you remember the table about how do I know that's spontaneous reaction. Spontaneous reaction means it should be less energy and high entropy or higher randomness. Question number 24. What occurs when chromium 3 ions are reduced to chromium 2 ion? So when upon reduce, it gain electron. It gain electron. That's why the number of the electrons lost decrease because if it gain a negative charge, that's going when you're adding it positive, it's going to be positive too. So here, as we know, the reduction means gain electron, gain hydrogen, or lose oxygen. So here what happened? Electron gained. Uh, sorry, electron gain and the oxidation number decreased. Sorry, so it's number 4. I said before, so that's why that when I add negative 1 here, it's going to positive 2, but I picked up the wrong answer. Question number 25. Where do reduction and oxidation occur in electrolytic cell? We said always reduction occurs at cathode and oxidation always at anode. So reduction occurs always at cathode and oxidation at anode. Never change however or whatever the type of the cell. 26. Which compound is an electrolyte? Electrolyte means it's going to be ions. It's going to be to form ions. And if you look, that's ethane, that's methanol. They are organic compounds which are not electrolyte. And water, it's not polar, but if looking, that's an acid. So the answer should be 3 because we know acid is going to give protons. Acid is going to give protons, and that's why I'm going to have positive and negative charge, and in that case, it's going to be ultralight. Ultralight means good conductor for the electricity. When the hydronium ion concentration of an aqueous solution is increased by a factor of 10, the pH value solution. So when it increases, the pH will decrease by 1. Decrease by 1. Why? So, for example, let's say the concentration is 10 to the power negative 5. Increased by 10 means I multiply by 10. So 10 to the power negative 5 times 10 is going to be 10 to the power negative 4. So the first one, its pH was negative log 10 to the power negative 5, which is 5. Now, the new product, which is 10 to the power negative 4, so the pH is negative log the concentration, which is going to be 4. So what happened? It goes down from 5 to 1. That's question number 27. Question number 28. The stability of isotope is related to the ratio of which particles in the atoms. So isotopes, as we understand, they have the same number of protons but different number of neutrons. So we're talking about neutrons and protons only. So the answer must be protons and neutrons. Number 3. Which radioisotope has the fastest rate of decay? So I have to check the reference sheet in that case. So I'm going to my reference sheet and I'm moving to the isotope. Here is the decays. So selected radioisotope. So he's telling me carbon 14. Carbon 14 has 5,715 years. Now calcium 37, 182 milliseconds. So that's decaying fast than the other one. If you're looking for iron, it's 8 minutes. So still calcium is the fastest. Potassium 42 is 12 hours. So the calcium has least time. So it's the fastest rate. It's the fastest rate. Now the last one. The atomic mass of an element is the weighted average of atomic masses of all isotopes. All isotopes. So I'm looking for how the isotope represent in the abundance and I make it with ratio. So the natural occurring isotope, I'm talking only about the natural occurring, not the artificial, because I can do isotope artificially, but it doesn't exist in nature. So the only thing should be only the naturally occurring isotope. So the answer is going to be 3. And that's the end of Chemistry August 2016 Part A. Wish you all good luck and study hard. Be prepared for the region.